It's so great to see such a full crowd here this morning. I think you'll really enjoy the updates that we have from our panelists today. On behalf of our board of directors and community partners, we're glad you could join us. The purpose of this breakfast is to give the city and county representatives an opportunity to present to y'all on developments, answer any questions, and just kind of give you an update on what's going on in our community. At this time, if we have any elected officials, which I know we have several, if you'll please stand so we can recognize you and thank you for joining us this morning. Thank you all for all that you do for our community. At this time, I'm going to ask Tom Allman to come up to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and our invocation.
Please stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please pray with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we just ask your blessing upon today's event. We thank you for the growth and prosperity of this community. We ask your blessing upon the messages of our panel members today, that they will be well received by this audience. We pray that the community members of Bryan County will adapt and receive the growth that's happening across this community. Dear Lord, we ask your blessing upon this meal this morning. Thank you for the hands that prepared it and also those that have delivered it to us. Dear Lord, we also ask a special blessing upon the Ukrainian people. We ask that you give them courage and resilience as they combat the evil that has fell upon them. We also ask your blessing upon our service members who have deployed to support the global allies as they move forward to deter aggression. We also ask your blessing that this community will accept and support their family members that are left behind. We ask all these things in the name of your Son, the Prince of Peace. And all God's people said, Amen.
Thank you, Tom. At this time, I'd like to introduce our panelists for today, beginning with our moderator, which is Ralph Forbes, who's our Government Affairs Chair with Thomas and Hutton. We have Dr. Paul Brookshire, who's the Bryan County School Superintendent. Southeast Georgia Emerging Leader Award recipient, Anna Chafin, who's the CEO of the Development Authority of Bryan County. We have Steve Hood, the Deputy to the Garrison Commander with Fort Stewart and Hunter Army Airfield. Chris Lovell, the City Manager of Richmond Hill. Christy Sherman, the Executive Director of the Richmond Hill Convention and Visitors Bureau. Ben Taylor, the Bryan County Administrator. And Tiffany Walraven, Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Pembroke. So thank you all so much for your time this morning. Please note that due to time constraints, we will not be taking questions from the crowd. We will go through the questions that we have that were submitted and that our Government Affairs Committee came up with for the panelists. I do want to mention, just before I forget, happy birthday to the City of Richmond Hill. Turned 60 years old today, so we're glad y'all could join us. But at this time, at this time, I will hand the mic over to Ralph Forbes. I don't know if
Thank you, Catherine. Welcome, everyone. Good to see everyone. This has been a couple of years since we've been able to do this, and it's sure good to get this group back together and just think about all the things that this community's done over the last 2 years. We're going to hear a lot about that today, but before we do that, I do want to take a moment and, everybody reads, everybody hears, about this community and how special it is. And it is a special place made up of special people. And it has been and it continues to be. And it's because of the leaders we have sitting in the front of this room. And before we get started, we got a lot of questions, but before we get started, I want to take a moment. We're the fastest growing county in the state right now, and we get a lot of accolades about it. And I know the politicians do what they want to do and all those kind of things, but it's the boots on the ground people like the folks you see up front up here that make this thing happen. So before we get started, let's take a minute and thank these guys for the work they do. Appreciate it. Thank you very much for that. So overall, as you know, we've been classified as the fastest growing county in the state. So I'm going to ask each of these folks to take 5 minutes, since it's been a couple of years since we've done this, to take 5 minutes and explain what's happened over the last couple of years and the things that's made us to be in that position possible. So we'll start with Anna with the Bryan County Development Authority. Anna, you want to talk a little bit about what's going on over the last few years?
Thank you, Ralph. Good morning. Before I get started, I want to recognize the Development Authority Board and staff that are here today. If you're on the Development Authority Board or a staff member, could you please stand up? I know I saw several of you out there. So thank y'all for all that you do to help support us. I thought it was an important thing to do to recognize them first, because what I'm about to talk about is really the product of a lot of time and effort spent by the board and the staff. So if we could go to our slide, please. Thank you, ma'am. So I want to give you a quick overview of the past couple years. We're going to start with a few announcements today. Everybody likes announcements, right? So Ascendum Volvo has decided to locate a sales and service center in the Belfast Commerce Park in Richmond Hill. This project will be complete, we expect, the beginning of next year, first quarter of next year. And this will be just over 20,000 square feet, so we're excited to have Ascendum Volvo join our industry base. Also, on the north end of the county, in Interstate Center 2, CZM, which is a foundation drilling equipment assembly company, they will be expanding. And so they'll add about just over 30,000 square feet to their complex in Interstate Center 2. So these are two new announcements of new jobs and investment coming to Bryan County. Also, I wanted to highlight Medline. They're a manufacturer of medical supplies. They're based out of Northfield, Illinois, and they have been constructing a 1.2 million square foot distribution center in the Belfast Commerce Park. This project recently completed construction. They're now in the hiring phase, and so they've had 2 successful hiring events. Over the next few years, they're going to ramp up to 150 jobs, and they have the capacity to go to 600 total employees in this facility. So we're excited about this new opportunity in Bryan County. In addition to Medline, we'll also have FedEx Ground that will temporarily join Medline in the space. FedEx will lease 400,000 square feet, and this will add a new sortation facility to the market. So this will double our package capacity in this region. So hopefully that means we're going to get our packages quicker. I'm excited about that. I hope y'all are too. So great news with Medline and FedEx. Also want to mention St. Joe's Candler. Is Brad Trower here today with St. Joe's? Thank you, Brad, for being with us. St. Joe's Candler purchased a site in the Interstate Center Park late last year, and they're going to construct a new medical facility that will serve the area. It will be initially about 20,000 square feet, and then they'll grow into about 40,000 square feet. So we're excited to have them come into North Bryan. The Development Authority will actually co-locate in some office space there, so we're excited to be in the North Bryan area near that North Bryan Industrial Center. So thanks, Brad, for your partnership. We're glad you could be here today. Another thing I wanted to mention is you're probably not surprised, there's a lot of private development activity going on in Bryan County, and that's primarily because of the growth at the Port of Savannah. We do have the fastest growing port in the country with the Port of Savannah, and a lot of private developers want to be in this market. They came into Chatham first, and they've been working their way out on I-16 and now I-95, and so now we're benefiting from that development. So a couple of folks that have come into the market include Zeebeck and also Anatolia. They've located and bought property in the Belfast Commerce Park. They bought property from Bill Cunningham with Radiant Places, so we're glad to have them coming in and doing speculative development and build-to-suit. On the north end of the county, we've got developers like Rooker, Van Trust, Chesterfield, and CRG that have bought property, and they're actively working on buildings, specifically CRG and Van Trust. So glad to have them join the community and continue to invest in capital and also hopefully bring jobs. And then one of the most exciting things that I've been a part of since I've been in Bryan County now for over 8 years is being a part of the Savannah Harbor Interstate 16 Corridor Joint Development Authority. We're going to call that the Savannah JDA for short because that's a long name. So the Savannah JDA is made up of Chatham, Effingham, Bryan, and Bullitt counties, so the 4 counties coming out of the Port of Savannah on I-16. And I want to give a shout out to Tripp Tollison and Angela Hendricks with CETA, some of our great partners from Chatham County that are here today. So the Savannah Harbor Interstate 16 Corridor Joint Development Authority, I'm going to say it again, Savannah JDA, we partnered with the state of Georgia last summer, and we bought an over 2,100 acre site. It's called the Bryan County Mega Site, and our goal is to attract a single large manufacturer that could potentially create thousands of jobs and generate billions of dollars of investment. This could be the next Gulf Stream for our region. And so the Savannah JDA is actively working to attract that right fit, and we're very excited about what the future holds there. And then finally, I want to wrap up by saying you see a couple of social media logos up there. For people that know me, they know I'm not very savvy when it comes to social media, but I'm excited that we've revamped our LinkedIn presence and we've launched a Facebook and an Instagram account, because one thing we've done is we've helped create jobs and investment, but one thing we haven't done is tell that story. And so we want to do a better job of telling that story, and that's why we've launched these social media accounts. So go check us out, and thanks for your time.
Wow, that's I think we might as well just leave right now. No, thank you, Anna. That's great. A lot of great work over the last couple of years. Ben, you want to add on with Anna doing her stuff? What is going on with the county? We're going to talk about roads in a little bit. That's a big subject, but go ahead, Ben. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to recognize my board as well. These guys have been working hard the past 2 years. They spent a lot of hours in meetings. I mean, we had a meeting the other night. It was 5 hours long, but it was getting good things done with good people. So we've had a lot of things going on in the county this year.
What's next for Bryan County in your eyes? What's next for Coastal Georgia?
Really, the sky's the limit here. Really, not just for Bryan County, but just this whole area.
As the question indicated, we've had record population growth. I mean, it's growing and growing. 33% increase past 10 years, and that makes us the fastest growing county in Georgia. So what does that mean? That means we've got to have a blueprint for growth. We've got to have that infrastructure plan out there. And part of that infrastructure plan is more recreational opportunities. Like our Henderson Park and Gym project, which is currently under construction here, as you can see, to be finished in the summer. Also, our Fisherman's Co-op project. Now, we're very happy to say that we just got awarded a $3 million grant from the state to start construction on this, and this is what that project looked like in 2.5 years. Also, our transportation, we kicked it into high gear there. Our award-winning interchange partner with the city and Rainier, and also our other intersection improvements. And there's more to come. And the one thing that makes that possible is T-Splost. So the county's asking voters to renew that tax in May, the upcoming election, so we can keep providing that sort of project that's vastly needed. Also, sewer capacity. We've had major projects that's added capacity in the southern portion of the county and the northern portion of the county. That's desperately needed for both residential and industrial growth. Another thing is stormwater drainage. It's been a big topic the past 2 years. We've started a big project as far as clearing out our canals so we can get ready for that next hurricane event and keep our folks safe. Another thing is emergency services, more equipment and personnel. For the first time in ever, we've been able to train EMT, paramedics, and firefighters all in-house. So that helps us do away with not being able to supply personnel to our calls. So we're proud about that. So appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben. We're gonna get into the importance of T-Splosh here shortly. With that said, Chris, on the city side, the last couple of years, what's all great things happened?
Yeah, we, I had some things prepared, but I kind of am going to pivot a little bit because some things have, they've kind of covered a lot of growth ideas. First, I want to give a shout out to our council that's here and staff that's here. These guys, I'm reminded of a phrase, sic vos non vobos, which is not for self but others, and that's really kind of what these guys do. you know, on their 60th birthday, it's kind of, I'd be remiss if I said, you know, the growth didn't start 10 years ago. It's been happening for 60 years. And, you know, there's a lot of people here before us that's laid out a lot of this groundwork that's helped get us where we are. And then you got to kind of look at why are people coming here, and we all know different reasons. But I think something I'd like to touch on today before we get into it is, you know, we're a safe community. We support our fire and our PD and our EMS, and we've got some great leaders in place. And I just, you know, I think it's time we give a shout out to those guys that protect us day to day, that kind of catch a lot of heat from time to time. So, you know, we've got Chief Green, Chief Shores, Chief Howell, and Mark Crow in place now to kind of take us to these next levels. So, you know, when we talk about growth, I think it's important that we mention the safety aspect of that, because, as you said, we're going to talk about road and stuff later. But anyway, that's kind of, I want to take my 5 minutes or 2 minutes to kind of tip my hat to those guys.
Thank you, Chris. Very well said. Tiffany, Pembroke, over the last couple of years, what can you share with us?
Sure. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to our mayor and our city council and Downtown Development Authority board members that are here today. I think we've got a lot of great things going on in the North End. We may be a small city, but we've got some very interesting projects that we're working on right now. A lot of infrastructure preparation for what's to come on the north end of the county with our water side. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And on our sewer, a big announcement from the state with $8.7 million in funds for a new sewer plant that we've got going in, our expansion of our plant. And then, of course, on the housing side, some award-winning housing projects that we've had from the state level that have gone in the last few years. And again, we're expanding on our public safety and road systems in the north end and getting ready for a lot of growth from the mega site.
Thank you. And last but not least, the most important person that's probably helped more than anybody else for this county to be the #1 fastest growing is Dr. Brookshire and the school board, and all the great things they've done over the last couple of years. And we're going to get into talking about, you know, what's planned ahead and some other things. But I know I want to take a minute and thank you and the board for this, a lot of hard decisions y'all made 2 years ago during this pandemic that really benefited our kids in this community. And I know we'll talk more about that later, Paul. But go ahead. The last couple of years, I know you hadn't been sleeping, have you, buddy?
Ralph, I don't know what to say about that, actually. Appreciate that. I do want to recognize today we've got our school board chair, vice chair, and District 3 rep here with us today. They do some remarkable work on a daily basis, keeping kids in mind every single day. So when you ask the question, when you talk about being the fastest growing county in the state of Georgia over the last 10 years and the sixth fastest in the nation, when I realized that was a question, I decided, you know, how do you tell that story? I wish that I would have had a GoPro and a mic for the last 10 years. I would be a Netflix best hit series right there. There is no doubt about that. I looked at some pictures back when I started. Actually, I started 10 years ago. So I've taken that entire journey, that 10-year journey, and I did have brown hair when I started. But some interesting facts, and it's kind of unbelievable when you're thinking about answering this question. Our general operating budget back in when I started back in 2012 was $52 million. This year it was $92 million. So a $40 million increase over those 10 years. We've gone from about 7,700 kids to almost 10,200. So we've almost grown a school system, almost 3,000 students. We had 1,000 employees back then. We now have over 1,500. So we've added over 500 new employees in the last 10 years. What's pretty impressive, though, when you think about the work of the school board, is our millage rate. Our school taxes 10 years ago were more than they are now. So they've done a great job trying to navigate this growth and do what's best for kids and still achieve at the highest level by investing in kids. And how about our graduation rate, going from 75% to over 90, almost 94% in the last 10 years. So I know we're going to talk about capital projects or a little bit about growth, but just so you know, a lot of superintendents in their entire careers never have an opportunity to build one school or even do one renovation. We've opened four new or replacement schools in the last 10 years, and every school has been renovated except one, and it's being renovated this summer. So anyway, lots of big things going on.
Thank you, Paul, very much for that. We're gonna move right into the most important topic that I think everybody worries about is the roads and traffic and all the growth and how we're handling it. So there's gonna be a lot of good discussion here. But one of the things I do want to mention is Troy Pittman with Georgia DOT, the new district engineer, was going to join us, couldn't be here today. As you can tell, looking around, they have been a great partner of this community, both in the north end and south end, and they continue to be. And the reason that is because, you know, the DOT, we work around the state a lot, and you know, the DOT likes helping those that help themselves, and us having the T-Splosh is a big plus because it gives us skin in the game for them to go and invest in our community. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, but that's, like I said, that's a big important feature that if Troy was here, he would mention. So with that said, we're going to kind of talk about some of the projects that have been done with T-Splosh funds, and I'm going to start with Ben, if you can share a few things that T-Splosh has helped us with some of the traffic concerns.
Well, you've got to take care of the roads you already got out there. So a big component of T-Splosh is resurfacing in our road rehab program. We've been able to, this year, we've been able to triple the amount of roads that we resurface or rehab. And that's huge for us as far as that inventory for us as far as paved roads is very vast, and that funding is needed for that. Now, the next thing on it's also increasing the safety of our roads. So if you'll look around the county, you see a lot of shoulders being added, those 2-foot shoulders. Those are for, keep your cars from running off into those soft shoulders and causing a safety problem for you and your family. So we've been able to add miles and miles of that to our highly traversed roads. Also, the big projects coming from playing a part in T-Splosh, these roundabouts here, these intersection improvements of the Belfast River, Harris Trail, paid for by T-Splosh and also by impact fees as well, and also our Belfast River roundabout as well. So upcoming projects we have funded entirely by T-Splosh is the Wilma Edwards roundabout up on 280. Also our roundabout on Oak Level Road. We recently got approval to proceed with that and start design, so that'll be good for that intersection. And also we're getting ready for the growth along Belfast Keller. So we've started a corridor plan there. In conjunction with a new high school being put in, we're partnering with the school to put in a roundabout there at the new entrance, and also with the increased traffic at Cranston Bluff there. So we're excited about that. Now, it's not just all about cars, also pedestrian projects. Where we just completed a pedestrian study, took public input for that. So we'll be laying out that long-term plan as things develop here in both the north and the southern part of the county. One of those projects coming up is identified in this year's budget is Sterling Creek Pedestrian Bridge. That was one thing we thought was high priority, and that was approved, and we're actually partnering with the city, and we probably will include that plan in our Brisbane Road rehab as well. So make that all one project. We're excited about that. And you don't have to just live on a paved road to benefit from T-Splosh. I mean, it's all a combined effort. So we've been able to purchase more efficient equipment and do a better job of maintaining our dirt roads. There's a huge inventory of dirt roads out there, not as much as other counties, but it's still quite a task to take care of that. So T-Splosh is very important to our transportation efforts. It's critical and to make good progress.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. Chris, from the city side on the T-Splosh, how have you benefited from that?
Yeah, a ton. We've, it's a simpler story to tell for us on what we did on the last T-Splosh. We did the Greater Getchu Parkway, which we felt was really important to connect city residents to the newer exchange area, and also the exchange itself. You know, I don't know that we would have been able to participate in the level we did without T-Splosh. You know, we've kind of taken the mindset that we're going to try to use T-Splosh for bigger infrastructure type projects. You know, we don't have near the network that the county has of roads, so we're able to maintain and manage a lot of our roads through our general operating budget. But so we try to kind of earmark T-Splosh for some of these bigger projects. Bigger projects for us are the Brisbane Road resurfacing, the pedestrian bridge that Ben mentioned, and, you know, participation in the Belfast Keller widening. So that's some of the things that we kind of focus on for T-Splost. And at the end of the day, you know, I think that if we're strategic about how we do these projects, and especially the larger ones, we can stay ahead of some of this growth and not get behind the ball and stay out in front of it the best we can. So T-Splost is very important, as is every sales tax that we have. I think anybody up here who's had a chance to review budgets understands that the sales tax component of our community is huge and should not be understated.
Thank you, Chris. Tiffany and Pembroke?
We've also been able to increase our resurfacing in our streets in our city. We've had pedestrian projects we've worked on, South Poplar Street, sidewalk repairs. We try to focus on implementing projects within each district of the city to make sure it's equitable among all of our residents. We've also been able to purchase a street sweeper, which makes our city a lot more efficient on preventing debris going into our stormwater drains, preventing a lot of the staff from having to go out and keep that debris from clogging those drains up. So we've had the street sweeper come in. Thermoplastic parking lines in the downtown to increase safety on that concern. And then we've also had to increase our street department maintenance building, an expansion in our street department. We've had the Harry Hagan Road realignment. This is something that we've been working on a long time for safety of our residents, especially our seniors, trying to get out of this location with the traffic on Ash Branch Road. So we've been able to realign that, resurfacing and repaving of certain streets, storm drainage, street repair. We've had storm drains collapse in the city. We've been able to go in and repair some of the road projects after that, and then working on some surveys and inspections with our engineer preparing for the future.
Great, thank you. It certainly sounds like a lot of good things are happening from T-Splost, so let's try to get out and remember that come May when the voting time comes. Real quick, I know we've got to push for time, so we're going to push on real quick, Ben and Tiffany. Anna mentioned the mega site earlier about the purchase of it, and it is a pretty big deal on the north end of it. So what kind of roads and traffic are y'all looking, or what kind of improvements are y'all looking to do? What kind of blueprint are y'all putting forward to plan ahead for the 10,000 plus jobs that may come to that mega site? Ben?
Well, can you hear me? Yeah, we've Highway 280, the 280 corridor is going to be very important for that. So we've started extensive planning with that, and Brittany, pull up that 280 corridor there. I'll just show you what's to come there. So Wilma Edwards Road, there's a major intersection there, and we've started the project. Engineering's underway to add a roundabout. That's Board of Education. Dr. Brooks will be very happy about that. He calls me every week. So we'll be good there. And also the interchange. The state's putting their long-term plans to fix that interchange there, and it'll look a lot like Belfast-Keller down here. That one's working out well, and I think that's the model the state's going to look at hopefully in the future for a lot of different places. Also, we got to take care of our folks in the industrial park out there, and at Oracle Parkway, and traffic lights in the works there. So we've got permission to, or somewhat of a permission from GDOT to go ahead and start the engineering of that. We're glad to say we've got the funds in line to do that. The biggest thing of it all is Highway 280 and 80, that intersection there. So that's going to see a lot of traffic. So we're partnering hopefully with the state to fix that interchange. And like again, I would say this, can't say it enough, all these intersection improvements, T-Splost is so very important. I mean, that's the thing that keeps it moving. So.
Great, thank you, Ben. Tiffany, you got anything to add to that?
Can y'all hear me? Are we on? Okay. So like Ben said, the 280 corridor is very important. We are blessed in our city, in the middle of our city, to have 3 different state routes, 119, 67, and 280, 2 of which have just had overlays done on them. So it's preparing for the traffic that comes about on those roads every day. Again, our infrastructure, treatment plant expansion, We're also working on increasing the sewer capacity within our city with inflow and infiltration reduction on a close to $1 million CDBG project that we're working on right now. And then the well expansion that we've had during out to Bullitt County to prepare for water growth, both for residential and commercial development on the north end.
Great, thank you. Moving to the south end, which is where we are now, with Chris had been on, now that the interchange is built, we mentioned that earlier, the award-winning interchange, great partnership, public-private partnership amongst everybody. Now that that's open, what's the city and county doing to prepare for all that growth that Radiant and Bill Cunningham's bringing to us up that way? What's being planned for that area?
Well, I think that we've done a future traffic needs analysis, and some of the items that have come up on there that we've already talked about. Well, that's the Belfast Keller widening, Warren Hill extension, which will connect the middle school to the new Greater Geechee Parkway, Brisbane Road, which we're partnering with the county on to do a resurface and fix that road, Town Center and Ford Avenue. We've looked at some options. The traffic with the widening of 144 has kind of been very helpful there. So that's something we're keeping our eye on as well. Harris Trail and US 17, Ponderosa and US 17, and then the exit 87 northbound off ramp, which if anybody's ever been traveling north, getting off on 17 and wanting to travel back south, it's kind of difficult to take that left. So those are some items that we're looking at, and I think that at the end of the day that once again, we sound like a infomercial for T-Splosh, but it's kind of important. So, thanks.
Thank you, Chris. Ben, you got anything to add on the south end?
Yeah, our big thing is Belfast Keller, and we feel it's important to get that right. That's a county road within the city limits, and we got a blank slate out there. So the city and the county had the foresight and the willingness to adopt an access management plan that they both agreed upon. And this basically, with access, any access points you got, that's where traffic's going to slow down, basically. So you really got to manage that. And then the next portion of this is just the infrastructure planning along that corridor as well. So as I mentioned, you'll have in the county budget this year is engineering for one roundabout at the school entrance, and also construction dollars in there for Cranston Bluff. I don't think we'll get it this fiscal year as well, but at least that funding is available, and the commission's had the foresight to put out, but it is in the planning stage. So those two are coming, and a lot more intersection improvements as those partners begin to come in as far as who's going to develop off those all those sites there. 17 is also a big thing for us. We notice we got a blank slate with Belfast Keller. Of course, we got a lot more challenges with 17. A lot more development off of there. Working with GDOT, and the commissioners just authorized the 17 traffic study so we could go ahead and figure out, hey, what needs to be done in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, just like we did with Belfast Keller as far as growth and development patterns. And we're very excited about that. So it's all about planning and implementation with us as far as the traffic's concerned, and funding. So I bet y'all know what I'm going to say next.
Thank you, Ben. The common thing, we'll push on, the common theme to this, and as a citizen of this community that you take away from this is a lot of collaboration between the city and the county. And I want to take a minute and thank the city council and the county commissioners and the staff here for continuing to work together. It's not as bad as what you read a lot of times in the paper. These guys do work well together. They make things happen, and you heard that a lot today. So thank you guys for that. So moving on to the recreation side, which is important to our families. It's moving here real quick. Ben, if you can touch on a little bit, let's start with you, Ben, a little bit on the recreation projects that you got in the works and that you completed.
Well, the first thing, one of the big things, is our Henderson Park and Fields project. I'll go over this. I'll show you a little conceptual we got here, a little flyover. It consists of 2 artificial turf fields, as well as a gym complex, which what we call a double gym, which gives us capacity for years to come for our indoor sports. And that has already been started as far as the construction. You can see here the side of it, what it's going to look like. It'd be by McAllister Elementary School there. And as I say, that's under construction. We look for the completion date of that to be in July. You can see the aerial view here. We were able to save about $3 million in construction, so we're going to add a phase 2, which we already started engineering on, which increases our capacity there by 2 ball fields and some more parking. So that's one project that has really got us giddy there is in the realm of recreation. Also, we're excited about the Fisherman's Co-op project. We're excited about that grant announcement. This is water access at the old Fisherman's Co-op site. It's got historical value to the community, so we're glad to be able to rehab that and turn it into a community space. It's going to consist of walking trails, nature trails, a pavilion, boat ramp, and we were just awarded, as I said, that $3 million GOSHA grant, which is funded by your sales of sporting goods. A very new tax, a very new grant, only 3 years old. So we're going to start engineering on that. Like I say, the construction time of that is about 2.5 years from this date forward. So that should be coming very, very soon. Also, recreation, a little bit something for everybody, is the Richmond Hill Library. That's we've started the engineering process for that. It'll be an expansion, of course. The county's got $1.5 million to put in it from the previous SPLOST, and we're hoping to get a grant from the state as well so we can expand that project even more. But this is conceptual, what it'll look like, and it'll be consistent with that forward overlay district in the city. So we're excited about that.
Thank you, Ben. Chris?
Yeah, I know the question is wanting us to focus. Is this working? Yeah, is wanting us to focus on recreation stuff, but and we've done a lot of that. We've done phase 1 of Bowles Park, which is a little bit of a passive park, but we've already approved some playground equipment for that area. We've also continued to spend money in what we consider the gym of Richmond Hill, J.F. Gregory Park. We've also allocated some monies to Sterling Creek Park in the way of walking trails and biking trails and those sorts of things. Once again, when we're talking about SPLOST and recreation, I think we need to continue to talk about how we use our SPLOST money as well to do some other projects, including fire and police vehicles. That's kind of always been a big budget of ours. We've got the First Street extension, which is down near the older interchanges of 90. The Richmond Hill Heights drainage project was a huge project for the city. I mean, we spent close to $800,000 in that community, but I think we finally got it right. The floodgates on Sterling Creek, if anybody's been around here hurricanes, know that Sterling Creek coming across Timber Trail is the main catch of all water, and so what we have found obviously is that that's a tidal creek. When tides are high, we have a lot of rain, and I don't care what the engineers say, there's not much you can do because there's nowhere for the water to go. So we're looking at a floodgate project on that one, Rosemont Street improvements, and once again, as I mentioned earlier, Sterling Creek Park improvements. So I mean, there's a laundry list of stuff that we use for SPLOST, and just so I don't sound like a broken record about T-SPLOST, SPLOST is very important too. So anyway, that's kind of what we've got going in the SPLOST world.
Thank you, Chris. Oh shoot, I'm sorry, Tiffany from Recreation and Tip Pembroke. I almost skipped you there. Apologize for that.
All right, so in our recreation, we do have a city pool that we've had for quite some time in the city of Pembroke. We've used SPLOST funds to do a big major overhaul on the pool with pool pump replacements, overlaying tile on that, renovating the dressing rooms and the restrooms there, also with the handicap accessibility in the pool. Also, we had the Michael Foxworth Gym, City Gym. It's a gym we acquired from the Board of Education from the old Bryan County Elementary School. when that school closed. It's something that we've remodeled, the bathrooms in that, new air conditioning additions that just finished in that project. And then we're getting ready to do some exterior paving on that, and that sits adjacent to another housing project we're going to talk about in a little while on that. We use that for a lot of different projects. The county 4-H program uses it for shooting sports. A lot of the high school and middle school teams have some private training for their basketball programs in the gym, and some other projects that happen in this gym on an everyday basis. We also encourage the use of facilities for our local teams, like I said, whether it be church teams, school teams, recreation teams, utilizing that gym. Then we're also working on a feasibility study on splash pads, adding that to our recreation complex next to our pool and our skate park, and next to one of our existing ball fields.
Thank you, Tiffany. So one of the things come up, and I know, Chris, we talked about this before. I know what's dear to Miss Brittany's heart over there is having a place to have. Hopefully one day we can get us a disc golf course here in one of our parks here. So I know Miss Brittany's was ready to work on that anytime this comes up. So with that said, one of the things that comes up is there are so many new sports starting at the high school these days with lacrosse and disc golf and gaming, some other things. So from the recreation department, are we communicating with the high schools and trying to start these kids off at a young age to give something for everybody to do, so they, when they get to high school, they are, already prepared to play some of those sports? Is some of that being done then?
Well, if we don't communicate with the high school people, will let us know for sure. Trust me there. So one thing is if you build the infrastructure and prepare for it when you know it's coming, you're going to be able to facilitate it. So we've got a lot of capacity now, especially with that part when it's completely built out. But one of the success programs from kind of listening to the community was our volleyball program we started back in 2015. And that started out, it's up to almost 450 participants now. We also started in between, after that, we started a smaller kids soccer program, what we call Mighty Mites, and a few other sports, flag football, a partnership with NFL football or some type of partnership there. But the infrastructure is very key to that, and of course, SPLOST plays a key role in that as well. So,
thank you. Don't think Miss Christie's been sitting up here just watching everybody. She's going to have some things. She's always the most important person up here. I never knew much about the whole tourism industry until we did this State of the Community. It's great. So Christie, a question for you. So talked about recreation. How does having a great recreation options in our community affect the tourism industry?
Yeah, I was really excited to see some of these slides. I know we've probably all experienced it with our own families, where you go to maybe your children go to a cheer competition, band competition, play soccer, football, baseball. Maybe you run a 5K out of town, but you're traveling to different destinations around Georgia or in the Southeast. And you have a participant, but then you have spectators. Sometimes the parents go, grandparents go to watch, you bring little brother and sister, and you're visiting a community over a 2 or 3 day period, and you're wanting to explore what to do in that area. You're getting gas, you're eating in their local restaurants. And so having those facilities here will be a great way for me to help market our destination and bring maybe have people stay a day longer if they're here for a tournament and explore what to do in our area.
Great. Thank you, Christy. So getting right into the schools, and I know we're pressed for time, and I hope you guys are planning to be here a while this morning, because these things normally take a little while, but it's a lot of great information. So going right into the schools, Paul, we talked earlier about the great decisions you and the school board made a couple of years ago. So, how do your scores compare to other communities due to you keeping, students in person instead of home that we just talked about earlier?
Ralph, when I saw this question, I couldn't believe y'all going to make me talk about COVID. I couldn't believe that. But I'm going to do it in a very positive way. Everybody remember March of 2020? I do. That's when the governor shut down every single school in the state of Georgia. And what a journey that has been. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say the journey that Bryan County Schools has gone on would not be as successful as it has been without the amazing faculty and staff that we have. and the amazing board that we have. So to talk about that, the governor shut us down in March of 2020. Then we had the option to come back that August, and we made the option we gave a choice. You can go virtual, come back, and we've never shut down since. So and it's been a great run. So yeah.
Great.
A lot of school systems are talking about learning loss. Bryan County Schools is talking about learning gains. We actually made gains during COVID. Now, granted, we have pockets that we need to work on. One of our biggest challenges right now from a learning loss standpoint is our new students that are moving in. We have a lot of families that are leaving states that have never opened. So we have a lot of students coming in that haven't been in school in a year and a half. So our teachers have a lot of challenges trying to get certain students caught up and things like that when you're going 400 to 500 kids a school year. So how do? We still perform in the top 7% of the state. From a literacy standpoint, we're 8th out of 180 school systems in the state of Georgia. From a regional standpoint, we're still the top performer in ACT, all the benchmark assessments that we compare ourselves to at the region level, SAT, ACT, the milestones test that a lot of folks know about, those types of things, we're still the top performer. Now, what you've got to do, though, you can never take advantage of that. You've got to continue to get better and continue to grow on that and see if, continue to grow. Never become stagnant. But let me say this. We could not have sustained and done as well as we did without a high-performing Board of Education, okay? Because they had a lot of pressure on them from people screaming them, cussing at them at board meetings, those types of things. But they stayed the course. They didn't react. It was all about student achievement, about student health, those types of things. And in that same time period, the board's been recognized as an exemplary board by the state of Georgia from GSBA twice, and actually was listed as a finalist for the governance team of the year during COVID, okay? For the governance team of the year as a finalist in the state of Georgia by GSBA. So all those things played a part in kind of navigating this whole journey that we've been on. So kudos to everybody involved. Has it been stressful? Not at all. Been a joyride. Would love to do it again. So no, but once again, I hope we're through it. We're done. Let's move on. We're ready for a totally normal year next year. And like I said, we don't want to talk about COVID ever again. At least I don't.
Yeah. Well deserved, Paul. Thank you. Thank you for 10 years. I didn't realize it's been 10 years. Thank you for your leadership you've had. You've been great for this community, and we appreciate it. Staying with you, let's talk about your building program. All the money that we voted on with East Splosh, and what are you doing with it and all the good things?
One thing, I see some folks in this room that work in the area of construction. One thing COVID did, it slowed us down because of increased costs. So one of the largest projects in Bryan County Schools history is the brand new replacement Richmond High School. There's some renderings up on the screen right now. We put it out to bid a couple years ago. But here's what happens in COVID. When you put it out to bid and I'll give you a quick story. I'm at the bid opening and there's bid packages. There's hundreds of them all around. And you're looking at the steel bid package, and there's about 6 or 7 steel bids in there for steel. The budget on the steel in this building is about $9.9 million. So you look on the top of this stack is the lowest bid. And when it says $21 million, you get really nervous. So the board and I had a conversation on saying, we prefer to delay than to pass that increased cost onto the taxpayer. So that was our choice. We did not want to pass on the significant increase in building costs on the taxpayer. So we've delayed, and it ended up paying off. Richmond High School is under construction right now. For all you folks who drive down Belfast Keller, hopefully you'll start seeing vertical construction in April. So all the site work is being finished right now. It should start going vertical in April. It is a state-of-the-art. It might be, I don't know this for a fact, but it might be the largest high school built in the state of Georgia from scratch. I know what the largest high school is in the state of Georgia, but it's a renovated industrial warehouse, so that doesn't count. This one's being built from scratch, okay? And it'll be able to house 3,500 plus students. It'll have a 1,250 seat state-of-the-art fine arts auditorium, a 10,200 square foot fitness weight room, state-of-the-art culinary arts, state-of-the-art vocational programs, logistics, automotive, all these different pieces. I could go on and on about this high school. It's going to be something to be proud of. It really is. So that's one really large investment that we're making in South Bryan. We have a lot more than just this going on, capital projects wise. I want to highlight North Bryan as well. So yes, we're building a new high school in South Bryan right now, but this is just a highlight of some of the projects. We got over $5 million invested right now in North Bryan. The Bryan County Middle High School site is getting a brand new softball baseball complex with brand new concessions, bathrooms, announcer stands, those types of things. New track to match Richmond Hill High School's track. We try to be very fair with our facilities. And a lot of you might not know this, but Bryan County Schools keeps an active 10-year capital projects plan. So we have a building program planned out through 2032, and then we have an active 5-year plan. And in that plan out through 2032, North Bryan is actually on tap in about 28, 29, 30-ish, something like that, for a brand new replacement high school and replacement middle school. We're so glad this timeline's fallen like it is, because when Ralph keeps saying mega site, I want to fall out of my chair and pass out. Because 10,000 jobs probably involves students. So I've actually gone on a teacher retirement system almost every day now and look at my date and say, what date is that? So it's not soon enough. I'm just kidding. But, I'm actually, the timeline for this new high school in North Bryan is actually really, it's actually fallen in line great with the potential for this new mega site. So more things than this going on from a capital project standpoint, over $150 million of investment. But that's just a quick snapshot of some stuff going on in North and South Bryan.
Great, thank you, Paul. That's all great stuff. All right, back to Anna here. You talked to us all those great things earlier that blew us away right off out of the gates, Anna. So with that, how's the Development Authority of Bryan County working with the Bryan County schools and the industries in the community to ensure the students in our schools know of the local career opportunities that help, mitigate this current workforce shortage that we have? So what are you and Paul working together on, or possibly to, get our kids set up to work on all these jobs that you're creating?
Well, we've been very fortunate over the past few years for Bryan County Schools and the Development Authority to collaborate, and one of the prime examples is Industry Day that occurred this week. This was our second Industry Day. We had to be virtual last year because of the pandemic, but this year we were in person. We visited 7 industries. Our 7th graders at both Bryan County Middle High School and Richmond Hill Middle School. We had about 150 plus students that participated, and just so excited that they got to go in, tour industry. They came together at lunchtime, everyone. They heard from a representative from Daniel Defense about his opportunity to work in industry. We had a couple sponsors involved. Thomas and Hutton and Georgia Power helped sponsor Chick-fil-A box lunches. That got the kids excited to have Chick-fil-A that day. And then Coastal Electric, Mark Bolton, thanks to you for providing T-shirts for all the participants, both the students, the volunteers, the teachers. So this is just a great way for us to try to showcase local opportunities, because what we want to help students and parents understand, you don't have to travel to Savannah every day for a job. You don't have to move to Atlanta or Chicago or Los Angeles. You can stay right here in Bryan County and have some great opportunities. So thanks to people like Buck Holly with CNH who participated. He was one of our participants in the video that you just saw. Just continuing to encourage locals that you can stay here in Bryan County and work. And our job with the Development Authority of Bryan County is to help provide those opportunities. So thank you, Dr. Brookshire, for your continued partnership to do great things like Industry Day.
So with that, we're going to move into the tourism side of things.
Just south of Savannah, on the picturesque Ogeechee River, Richmond Hill is a great place to savor, shop, stay, and explore. In 1925, Henry and Clara Ford made Richmond Hill their winter home. Today, the Ford's legacy is visible throughout the area and is on display at the Richmond Hill History Museum and Driving Trail. At Fort McAllister State Historic Park, visitors experience the history, the scenic beauty, and the amazing outdoor recreation of the Lowcountry. Visit Richmond Hill and discover Henry Ford's southern town.
Great. All right, Christy, your time. It's just always enjoyable to hear you talk about the tourism industry. So let's talk about this. Paul, sorry about this. We're going to talk about COVID again. So how did COVID affect our tourism industry in the community?
Well, thank you for saying that. I think you're right that a lot of people don't realize the impact of tourism in our area. I didn't until I started, working here and studying some of these numbers. Of course, tourism was COVID was devastating for the tourism industry. We had a rough 2020 and then somewhat into 2021 as well, with low occupancy, low rates at hotels, staffing shortages, all of that. So 2020, we spent a lot of time just communicating safety protocols to our visitors, uplifting our local businesses that were open, promoting takeout options, that kind of thing. But people still traveled to our region, just not quite in the same way. The numbers that I have for 2020 show that there was $83.1 million spent in Bryan County on tourism in 2020, which was down about 10.9% from 2019. So people were still seeking out outdoor activities. Fort McAllister was busier than ever. People were looking for destinations like beaches, mountains, off the beaten path places, trails. So people were still passing through, getting gas, maybe going to a drive-through, that kind of thing. So we still had money coming into our exit. Our hotel occupancy was down about 23% for that year, but the CVB was able to secure a grant for $25,000 for recovery marketing. So you may not have seen some of the ads we did. We did a Head for the Hill campaign, October, November, and December, try to stimulate visitation for the spring months. We market to people that are, driving here, or drive markets like Atlanta, Charleston, Jacksonville, so that people will come and spend the night and explore some of our assets here in Richmond Hill. But that said, 2021 looked better, and now 2022. Spring is here. We're on our way to a strong season of travel. We're not quite back to 2019 levels, but we're doing better than a lot of the northern markets. Excited about a couple of things like the new Savannah Arena. We have some new hotels that you may have noticed over the past couple of years. Fairfield Inns, Spring Hill Suites, Home 2 Suites are all new. And we have a lot of loyalty customers that will stop in and stay there overnight. Also, a few new direct flights to Savannah. So although our corporate business and our international travel is still down, we're excited about some new flights into Savannah, which will help us as well.
Well, continuing with that, you always give a great presentation on how the tourism affects our community. So, do you want to add any points to that, Christy, on top of what you just mentioned?
Sure. Tourism in Bryan County creates or supports 1,180 jobs. That's about 8% of the share of the county. We generate about $6.8 million in state and local taxes and $5.6 million in federal taxes, and that gives each household in Bryan County about a $520 tax break every year. So not only are the residents benefiting from it, but of course local businesses every day. People are just coming into our community. We call them temporary taxpayers. They come in, they spend money, and then they go home. So tourism is a very strong economic driver in Bryan County.
Thank you, Christy, very much for that. So I know we're pushed for time, so real quick, we're going to get into the business side of things, the business development side, because it's always interested. Everybody asks the question all the time, well, how come we can't have this? How come we can't have that in our community? I think it's coming with patience. But so Chris, from your side, what kind of programs do you have in place to encourage business owners to locate, in Richmond Hill, in our community?
Yeah, we've got several different programs that we use. I think the most important thing that we've done is the expedited permitting. And there's a lot of developers, builders, and construction world in this room, and generally we found that people that generally they don't care what you make them do as long as they understand what they have to do. And we kind of applied a private sector approach to permitting and getting things done with the UDO regulations. I don't know if you had a chance to read them. They're very easy to read. And I'd like to mention Scott Allison's name. He does a great job with builders and developers. Government has a knack of saying no instead of trying to figure a way how. And so Scott does a great job with his team over in our planning and zoning department. The DDA facade grants, we'll get a little bit into that a little bit later, of some of those things that have worked out. And also the potential TAD, which we've talked a lot about, and we're still trying to work through some of those issues to get some of those implemented. But I think all in all, we've done a pretty good job of making it easier to do business in Richmond Hill. I think that and that's a big tribute to Scott and his team.
Thank you, Chris. Ms. Tiffany in Pembroke.
All right, in the city of Pembroke, working with our businesses that are currently in our city and inbound businesses, educating them on the military tax credits that are available to help them with the jobs within their businesses. Downtown Development Revolving Loan Fund, DDRLF program, in partnership with the Georgia Cities Foundation, helps businesses within our city with revitalization, new construction, doing a 50-40-10 partnership with that with local banks, educating them on the historic preservation tax credits available to them when they're revitalizing downtown buildings in the city of Pembroke. We also provide property location assistance with our Downtown Development Authority, working with these partners. And then downtown beautification projects that our DDA does in partnership with our businesses. A lot of times they'll come together with new flowers down the street, new flags going on our streetscape program, and an expansion of our streetscape program in the downtown area. If you'll go to the next one. We'll get to this in a second. That pretty much covers it.
Yeah. Thank you, Tiffany. Anna, what do you use to draw people here?
Well, we have a variety of tools in our toolbox, but I'm just going to talk about one today, and this is the military zone tax credit. So in Georgia, there are state job tax credits that are offered for companies that are growing and investing in the community. So there are 4 tiers, tier 1 through 4. Tier 1 is typically your more disadvantaged rural communities, and you get more money in the tier 1 communities. Tier 4 are your more affluent communities, and Bryan County has traditionally been ranked a tier 4. So the job tax credit is on the lower end of the scale. But there are some exceptions like military zone. And so we have 4 census tracts in Bryan County, which you see up on the screen, that are in military zone areas. And with a military zone, if you're creating 2 or more full-time net new jobs in Georgia, any legal business enterprise, this just doesn't have to be industry. It could be a retail operation, a hair salon, it could be a restaurant. So you should really check out the information on military zone. I'd be glad to talk with you about that. And actually, the Chamber is going to host a lunch and learn coming up soon. So be on the lookout for details for that to learn more about military zone. But the benefit here is $3,500 per job per year for a 5-year period. And you can apply 100% of this towards your Georgia corporate income tax liability, and any excess can go towards your payroll withholding. So that's like money in your pocket. So a lot of people get excited about that component of the job tax credit. So just wanted to make sure that you were all aware of this asset that we have to try to encourage people to locate in Bryan County. And again, if you want to learn more, please talk to me after our event today, or come visit the Chamber luncheon that's coming up soon.
Great news there, Anna. Thank you. Ben, from your side? Ben.
Well, the county's approach is, we've got out in the county, it's a little more rural, so we've got to establish that base. So we got to build the infrastructure, keep the transportation network going, and we also provide funding to the Development Authority, which keeps that cause as well. So,
thank you, Ben. Chris, we've talked about this even last time a little bit. With everything that's going on with the new interchange and the development that Radiant's doing with Heartwood, what are we doing with the city to make sure we preserve the city of Richmond Hill and all there with attracting business and all? What's being done there?
Yeah, we've actually done a lot, and it's kind of we've been really aware of the fact that we don't want this corridor to be left, and it really doesn't do us any good to spend a lot of money in business development and the new interchange if everything from this area leaves and goes there, because it's the same net money. So we want to be really mindful of keeping this corridor in place. The main thing we did was the creation of the DDA. Robbie Ward sits on that board as well as on council, so he does a great job kind of being the liaison between there. We've also certified local government for historic preservation. That's been kind of a big deal for us as well in the line of grants and those sort of things. Ben mentioned the library early with the overlay district of this corridor. We've implemented that. Kind of a new thing that we're starting to get some traction. It's not new, but it's finally getting some traction. Is DDA facade grants. If you've noticed some of these old residential houses that are converting to businesses down 144 with the painting the bricks, landscaping, that sort of stuff, that's the DDA facade grants. We actually participated with the historic board when they painted the building, which was much needed. In the museum, we partnered with them on that as well in the facade grant. The potential TAD I mentioned earlier, we feel that that's a really important tool that we can use to kind of keep these older interchanges viable. DDA beautification projects, I think they approved a good bit of money the other day to repaint some light poles, new signs, and that sort of stuff throughout some of these common areas. Once again, proper zoning regulations, and the really working with GDOT on traffic improvement, and that's some of the things we're making sure that we keep this corridor thriving and not just everything leaving to the new interchange.
That's great stuff there, Chris. Thank you. Christy, from your side on the tourism in the historic district, how does it affect the tourism side of things?
Yeah, I'm so excited about all of those things. I've made a list today of just, things you don't think about for tourism, like the road improvements, the roundabouts, wayfinding signs, the new historic district, fisherman's co-op, recreation facilities, the trails, the crepe myrtles that the DDA are planning, and the just anything that just kind of improves that visitor's experience is so important. And then I think about when we go in the kindergarten museum or the bakery where my office is, or you go into Ella's or Way Station Coffee or any of these historic buildings, you get it kind of a special experience when you're there. People really like historic buildings, and they like to connect with the character and the culture of the town, and they let us know. So I'm really excited about that. People are, all these groups are kind of in that mindset where we want to preserve our historic buildings and keep it special.
Thank you, Christy. Staying on this, I know Ben and Tiffany, we talked a lot about the mega site earlier. I don't want to revisit anything we might have mentioned before. Anything you want to add with again, I keep talking about the mega site because it is going to bring a lot of jobs here, a lot of activity, a lot of people to the region. Anything else you or Tiffany want to add concerning that, or what y'all planning for?
Yeah, I want to tell you about it's all about partnerships, because we're not a large county. We're larger than what we were. And this video right here will show you a major project, because the lifeblood of that mega site is going to be water and sewer. Mm-hmm. And this is a project where we've got a partnership with the city of Savannah, Chatham County, our JDA partners, and it's a major project. This is a $250 million project that we're out there trying to secure funding for. So I'm going to let this polished video tell the story here.
Our initiative is to provide sewer and water to the mega site for Bryan County. It's not only going to benefit Bryan County, but it's going to also benefit Chatham, Bullock, and Effingham counties.
The I-16 Mega Site Regional Water and Sewer Project is part of a larger vision to transform the lives of working Georgians. Supported by our local colleges and universities, this infrastructure expansion will create higher quality jobs, address chronic underemployment, recruit large manufacturing operations, promote workforce housing investment, and generate high-paying manufacturing jobs to elevate accommodate underserved rural communities. The I-16 Megasite project activities consist of 3 primary components: a regional wastewater conveyance system, a regional water supply and transmission system, and a new water reclamation facility. This isn't just any project. We're talking about water and sewer infrastructure that will act as arteries pumping life into the region by creating over 10 to 20,000 direct and an additional 30 to 50,000 indirect permanent jobs over the next 20 years. Addressing unemployment within the hospitality and service industries impacted especially hard by the COVID pandemic. The secondary goal is to decrease a dependence on groundwater in areas sensitive to saltwater intrusion on the coast by more efficiently using surface water on a cooperative regional basis.
The Bryan County Megasite will make a huge difference for our students. Our students will be well prepared to step in and accentuate the workforce. We're excited for the opportunity to work with Bryan County Megasite for the benefit of the site, the industries that are coming in, but also for our students who are our future alumni.
Our sole mission is workforce development, tailored to meet the needs of area employers. So we work closely with industry to make sure that our graduates have the skills that they need in order to be successful in their workplace.
Georgia Southern University is uniquely positioned to be a powerful partner with the new Bryan County Megasite. We have just created a Logistics Technology Innovation Corporation that will drive the development of logistics technology by facilitating new ventures between academic researchers, instructors, students, and startup companies. At Georgia Southern, we are excited to be part of talent and economic development and assisting the state in the development of the southeast region of Georgia.
Yeah, and these partnerships, you see our partners with education there too. These partnerships, this line open up West Chatham, do a lot for the city of Savannah. It has potential to do something for Bullock and Effingham as well. So that conglomerate, that multiplied effort there by all those partners is going to allow us to save a lot of money for everyone as far as the implementation of that project. So. It's a little hard to put your arms around, but it's exciting times.
Thank you, Ben. That's good stuff there. Tiffany, anything you want to add from the Pembroke side from what you talked about earlier, maybe?
Sure. We'll start with the housing side of things, talking about workforce housing. We have been working on this for some 7 to 8 years, being a Georgia Initiative for Community Housing partner with the state, with the University of Georgia and Georgia Department of Community Affairs. That's been important for us to prepare for the growth that's coming into the north end of the county, making sure that we have the proper type of housing, the proper amount of housing, and plans for expansion into the housing in the north end. Also, I mentioned before the water. This is an example right here of workforce housing. This won one of the Georgia Rental Housing Awards with 60 workforce housing units. This was a partnership with a lot of different entities. Approximately $10 million development that went in on the north end of the county in the city limits to provide for low-income housing for workers within our community. And then this just completed with a partner with National Church Residences out of Ohio, senior housing development with 75 units. This was built on the previous Bryan County Elementary School site. This is a partnership with Bryan County Board of Education on this project. As we took down that part of the school next to our city gym and built this 3-story development that just opened up that houses a lot of our seniors in the community. With housing the seniors in this, how does that help workforce housing? It opens up housing individual parcels in the city for young families to move in, and then seniors to force downsize at that point. And then strategic partnerships with other counties, with the water being in the EPD yellow zone, we were limited to the amount of water that we can withdraw in our city for residential and commercial growth. But again, partnering with Bullock County, we were able to go out and sink a well in Bullock County, which is in the green zone, to bring additional water capacity into our city and pump it back into the city. And then moving forward with our wastewater treatment facility expansion on that.
Thank you, Tiffany. Good information. So Steve's been here waiting patiently until his time comes from Fort Stewart. So Steve, thank you so much for joining this year. First time we've had representation from Fort Stewart. So glad he could join us. The first question, is a hopefully you're ready for it, but the biggest local news headlines: the deployment of the 3rd Infantry Division of soldiers to Europe. What is the impact the residents of Bryan County and Richmond Hill, Pembroke might have from this deployment, Steve?
Okay, thanks, Ralph. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you clarifying. I know a couple people were wondering why that fellow's sitting by Dr. Brookshire, and so I appreciate it. And it is a privilege to represent the Garrison Commander, Colonel Manny Ramirez, and be a part of this forum of these leaders in the community. And certainly Fort Stewart values the partnership and the relationships we have with Bryan County. They're super important, and we're looking forward to seeing them grow. You hit it right on the head. The 1st Armor Brigade Combat Team is going out the door right now. And so General Costanza and that great staff are making sure that the Raider Brigade gets safely to Europe, where they will assure our allies, deter aggression if need be, and certainly take the opportunity to establish better relationships with the partners that we have overseas. We appreciate your support. Look, the military families, they're your neighbors. They're a resilient bunch, and they're really good at what they do. And as their soldiers go out the door, you're going to see them like you always do, but without one of their significant others who is traveling to Europe. You'll see them in your churches. Their children go to school with your children and your communities. You'll see them at the gas station. And really all we ask is that you give them a hug when you see them and let them know that you're there as their partner. And quite frankly, we already know that Bryan County and the folks in this room are great partners with the military. We've proven that time and time again. You know, there's over 2,000 active duty soldiers that live in Bryan County, about 100 in Pembroke, and the rest of them are, throughout the county. And just recently, 2021, Coastal Georgia was named the Great American Defensive Community. And we were the only ones that were singled out like that. So to answer your question, yes, you can support us like you've always supported us. And what you can do is reach out and give your thoughts and prayers to our servicemen and women who are right now getting on planes at Hunter Army Airfield and going to Europe to do the nation's bidding.
Thank you, Steve. That's important, and thank you for that. Kind of follows into what Chris mentioned earlier, and we do need to, to thank them guys when we see them in a restaurant, buy them a dinner, take care of their check, buy them something in the grocery store. So thank you for mentioning that. So staying with you, Steve, I know I myself, where I live, I hear Fort Stewart all the time at night, hear the helicopters over my head. So it seems like there's been a good bit of noise coming from the base in the past few months. What do you attribute that to?
We hadn't heard anything. No, I appreciate that question too, and certainly we follow the media sites as well, and we see the hashtag Sounds of Freedom. We see the hashtag Tanks Are Loud. Those things are all true, but really I want you to take pride in the fact that what you really are hearing is part of a modernization effort. Your 3rd Infantry Division, the dog-faced soldiers that you call your neighbors and friends, are by 2023 are going to be the most modern lethal force in the United States Army. That's their aviation brigades, their armored brigades, and the rest of the Army inventory. Some of those sounds you heard recently was 1st Brigade getting ready and trained and sharpened up as they get ready to go out the door, but we still have modernization and transition going on. Look, we've got 70 ranges out there, and there's about 30 or 40 of them hot all the time, and we're only firing about 12 million rounds out there from 9mm to 155mm, so small guns to big guns, and so, yeah, they certainly are going to make some noise. But we are very sensitive and very aware that sometimes those noises come at inconvenience times, and certainly different families and folks are going through things where they just don't want to hear that loud bang sometime. And we have compassion for it. We have a process to address it and listen to you. But quite frankly, we just have to keep training to make sure that we keep our warcraft and our warriors honed to where they have to be. So that's important.
I know this last question I got for you, I know it's a very important one for this community. And the reason I know that is because every time I go to a site visit with Anna, it's one of the topics that she talks about. I'm really surprised she didn't bring it up earlier when she talked about the things she offers as advantages for people to locate in this community. But I know she talks about it all the time. But how many Fort Stewart, Harney Airfield soldiers getting out of the Army each year want to stay in our community? That's a big number, and it's very important to the people that you see up here for selling our community to other folks.
Well, look, let me just take my professional hat off for a second and say there's not a reason for someone not to want to stay in this great community. And that's not the issue. I say that with a lot of pride because in June, my wife and I made Bryan County our forever home. And the forever home is an elusive component to military life. I've been talking about it since I was 19 years old when I convinced Miss Hood to marry me a few years later because it took a while. But once she did, I told her one day we'd have that forever home. And all these years later, and I put my uniform away a few years ago and had the opportunity to keep serving in the capacity that I'm in now, we've picked Bryan County to be that home. And I say we, but, really she did. But what I will tell you is that we transition a lot of soldiers out of the Army, and every one of them are viable, smart, and ready to perform. They're proven performers already, and you can't really interview somebody any better than somebody who's successfully negotiated the trials of a military career or a military stint. They don't all have to be 20-year folks like I was or several of the folks in this room may have been. Just the gumption and the personal character and fortitude to serve should be enough on a resume to give a little bit extra consideration. Now, we have a very extensive transition process in the military. It starts about a year out, and we welcome folks to tap into it. You folks know Tom Alman, and he's the Director of Human Resources and has a program that spends a lot of effort to prepare these young men and women as they get ready to separate from the military, to give them an opportunity to excel in another forum. So, I mean, that number, just in this county alone, 1,300, right, that come here and stay. 14,000 have transitioned over the last 4 years through that transition program. And I guess I would challenge you to try to tap into those and make them part of the community because you have so much to offer here. Let me make sure I don't miss anything important because I'll get yelled at, and I don't want to get yelled at. But I will tell you that when they transition, they're looking for employment. They're looking for education opportunities, entrepreneurship, or just vocational skills. And we're certainly always looking for people to partner with to give them that opportunity. I think they're the best employment choice. Soldiers are trained to think on their feet. They have a really strong work ethic. And you'll find yourself hard to be a tougher boss than a drill sergeant or a platoon sergeant. They'll be looking forward to working with you. I hope that answers your question, and I may have forgotten a specific
that's
component.
fine, Steve. Thank you so much for those answers. Thank you for being here with us today. We got one last question. We're going to do a bullet real fast. Hopefully it's fast. Depends on if Ben's got another video or not. It's all good, buddy. Real quick, one of the goals of our community with these folks to try to achieve every day is we're a bedroom community. People leave our community every day to go to Savannah or go other places to work. So I know the goal of all these folks is to get the people to stay here. Live here, work here, play here. So it's always something that's on the back of their mind. I don't know what the percentage is that we have. I'm sure Anna or somebody can tell me that. But real quick, I'm going to let Anna and Ben and Chris just comment on the last question of the day. What do we need to do or continue to do to keep folks come to this community, locate here, and not leave and work and play here like we talked about? So, Anna, I'll start with you real quick.
Thanks, Ralph. So I want to leave you with this slide today. And really what we're trying to do with the Development Authority of Bryan County is we want to create opportunity. We want to allow people that live here to work here, and they don't have to leave every day. So just wanted to share with you that since October of 2016, the Development Authority of Bryan County has been involved in the location of 12 industrial projects, and this has resulted in over $220 million of private investment and over 1,000 jobs. So this board and staff are working very hard for the citizens of Bryan County to create opportunities. So this is what we're doing every day. When I wake up, I go to work because I hope my 9-year-old son one day has an opportunity to live and work in Bryan County. And that's what I'm trying to do to help make sure that you and your children and your grandchildren also have an opportunity to live and work in Bryan County.
Thank you, Anna. Great answer. Ben?
You know, our responsibility falls within the planning and then the infrastructure. So we've got a blank slate here, and I've heard for 8 years that we don't want to look like a neighbor to the north. And we want to do a little better job and learn from their mistakes as far as their planning and implement our infrastructure in a responsible way. So that's why we've taken pride in our recreation projects, our transportation projects, and really create a space here where our people can work and play with the facilitation of economic developments through infrastructure, and that's kind of how I see it.
Chris, you got anything to add to that, buddy?
Yeah, we just really try to really focus on mixed use opportunities. It's really our ball to fumble now because we have one landowner that we generally deal with on our newer areas. And, you know, we've got an opportunity to really do something kind of cool out there. And so, you know, that's really what we're working towards. I mean, Anna's done a great job with the industrial side. And, you know, I think it's really kind of our job to make sure we have some mixed use opportunities for, you know, office, professional, and retail places that people can work as well. So that's really kind of our goal, is just to make it a mixed use opportunity. Keep this corridor alive and thriving, and really kind of just take this place to the next level.
Thank you, Chris. Well, that's all the questions that I have for today. At this time, I'm going to turn it back over to Catherine for some closing remarks. And go ahead, Catherine.
You got to hand that back to me. Well, thank you, Ralph, for moderating this morning. I know that was a lot of questions, and we appreciate y'all sticking with us for right at 2 hours. But we really hope you leave today knowing a lot more about what's going on in the community and who the representatives are in each area. Want to thank Brittany with Thomas and Hutton. She's one of our ambassadors for manning the technology this morning for the slides and putting that together for us. As someone that grew up here and is now back, I'm proud of the leadership that we have in our community that creates such a great home, and really just proud that we have such a great group of leaders that do collaborate and work together so much. But if you will, join me in thanking everybody again today for presenting.